when I put this graph together, I thought, wow, it just literally looks like I've taken some Skittles and like thrown it at the PowerPoint presentation. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. My name's Gareth James for mttpokerschool.com, and today I'm going to give you 5 tips to start crushing flop C betting in tournaments. Number 1. You can group flops into subcategories. Now, some of you might not know or have ever thought about it like this, but you can actually start to group flops together to make them easier to understand and to learn what to do. So before we do that, let's just have a look at this. So what is board texture and why is it important? The community cards then, so those 3 cards on the flop, that's the community cards, and they determine which hands are possible and in what frequencies. So the basic idea here is that monotone boards, so where all 3 cards are the same suit, that means that there are going to be flushes possible and flush draws possible. Paired boards means that trips and full houses are possible, and high card boards are going to be, much better for the pre-flop raiser. But then more advanced principles, I guess, is that there are 1,755 strategically different flops, 22,100 possible flops, and we can actually group many of these together to make them much easier to learn. So thankfully, we don't have to go out there and learn 1,755 flops for each different scenario. For example, EP versus button at 40 bigs, EP versus button at 30 bigs, big blind 3-bet versus button at 100 bigs. There's all these different situations. If we had to learn 1,755 strategically different flops for all of those different situations, we would never be able to learn them all. So thankfully, we can group them together. So this is the way that I group it together in my course and in my group coaching. So let's have a look at it then. So there are 3 types of board: rainbow boards, where all cards are of different suits; monotone, where they're all of the same suit; and then flush draw, where 2 of the cards are the same suit and 1 is of a different suit. So sometimes you might refer to flush draw boards as 2-tone boards because of that as well. So the next thing I want to talk about then is 12 board textures and the way that we can group the different flops together. And so you've got some ideas here like 2 Broadway boards. So for example, Queen 10 deuce, King 10 3, ABB, so like an ace with 2 Broadways, Ace Queen Jack, Ace King Jack. All the way down you can see like BBB is 3 Broadways, Jack 10 connected is Jack or a 10 high board that's connected, so possible straight is in there. King or Queen +2 is King or Queen high board with 2 rags or 2 low cards. And you got low connected and low unconnected. So really quickly, low connected is where there's going to be a straight possible. Now, this is there are some times where on these low connected boards where actually neither player has a straight, and it could be like EP versus MP on some of these boards here. Neither player there has a straight. But very often in position versus the big blind, well, the big blind's going to have a lot of cards that connect with the board, but also have a lot of the made straights already. So that's probably going to affect our strategy on these kind of boards. And then you've got other board types there as well, paired and trips. So that's tip number 1. You get to group the flops together to make them much easier to learn. Number 2, you should c-bet way more in position than out of position. If you've got access to your stats, I want you to go and have a look at what your flop c-betting looks like in position versus out of position. If those 2 numbers are the same or very similar, you're probably doing something wrong. You're either not c-betting enough in position or you're c-betting too much out of position. Let's take a quick look at the next slide. So what I've got here is a graph of 40 big blinds EP versus big blind in red, and 40 big blinds EP versus button in orange. So EP versus the big blind is going to be in position, EP versus button is going to be out of position, and you can see that the red bars are just a lot taller, which means we do a lot more betting on when we're in position in this exact spot. But this, very common thing that when we play in position versus the big blind, we're going to do a lot more continuation betting, C betting, than we are when we play out of position, whether it's EP versus button or hijack versus cutoff, EP versus MP, that kind of thing. So the next tips then are just going to be 3 tips on playing in position versus the big blind. So number 3, paired boards can often be C-bet for a small size. It's one of the most common mistakes that I see is players going huge on paired boards. Now, I did just say it's in position versus the big blind. There are situations when you're playing out of position when actually a big bet is much, much better on paired boards and some paired boards. But when you're playing in position versus the big blind, you want to be using a much small bet size. So we can take a look at the graph again. And just as an aside, I haven't mentioned this yet, but These charts all come from the Google Sheets that I put together for my course, and you can get access to that through the course or through group coaching. What I've done is run all of these different situations. So for example, you've got here 40 big blinds in position versus the big blind. So EP, MP, low jack, all the way through to the button. So 6 different setups, and I've run it for 184 different flops to give us an idea and really good idea about what's going on and what our c-betting frequency and c-betting strategy and what our flop strategy should look like. And you can get access to that, as I said, through my course, MTT Game Changer, the tournament poker course. So what we're looking at here then is 40 big blinds in position versus the big blind, average betting frequencies by size on paired boards. And you can see, so small bet is red, big bet is orange. And yeah, we just do a lot of small betting on paired boards. That's what this is showing us. And it's, it's the same thing across the board. And then this is the Google Sheet that I was just mentioning. This is just EP versus big blind. And you can see, I'm just going to bring in my pointer here. So you can see I've filtered for board texture here. So this is changed to paired. Now you can change it to anything you like when you've got access to this. You can change it to 2 Broadways. You can change it to ABX, ABB, monotone. As you can see down here, that's those 3 types I just talked about earlier on. So you've got lots of different ways to filter this. And then you can also see that I've filtered by total betting frequency. So Jack, Jack 5 bets pretty much all the time. And then Ace 9, 9 is only going to bet 20% of the time. And then we've got some sizings up here as well. So yeah, you'll have access to all of this information, and all of the information in this video comes from these Google Sheets. So this isn't another tip, but it's kind of like a 3B, I guess. Just a tip attached to this one is that, okay, we're going to be using a small size very frequently on these paired boards. But I just want to have a quick look at something. So we're betting a lot with these. You can see total betting frequency really, really high, and then it's really, really low at the bottom. And I just want you to see the kind of hands that we go for this, we go for more of a check with. So, when the pair is the top card, very frequently you're going to see a small bet, as you can see here, going for the small bet, but also that we bet very, very frequently. When the pair is the lower of the 2 cards, then we're going to see a lot more checks. And if you think about why that is, the big blind's just going to have a lot more nutted hands, a lot more of these 9x in this example, or 6x or 8x, 9x again, 7x, 6x. So this is definitely an anomaly, but a lot of these are where the pair is the bottom of the two cards, right? So yeah, same thing goes for ace king king, king 4 4, 7 5 5, 8 3 3. Although we're starting to get to some pretty high frequency C bets now, but you can see the ones at the bottom. So out of position is just good. The big blind is going to have a lot of trips, a lot of strong hands on these boards and be able to play them very, very aggressively. Number 4 then, low boards often have a big C bet or check strategy. So if paired boards very often have a small bet and betting quite often, especially if it's like a king king 4 or an ace ace 5 kind of board, then low boards are the opposite. They're going to have a lot of checks, and they're going to have big bet more than small bet. So let's have a look at this, the next graph I've got for you here. So this is 40 big blinds betting frequency on low connected boards, and you can see there's a lot of checks. That's the yellow, and then the big bet is in orange, and then the small bet is in red. So what we can take from this is that on these low boards, we're going to do a lot of big betting and a lot of checking. And you think about, I already said earlier on, the low connected boards, these are the ones where the big blind is going to have a decent number of made hands already. And so we can't just, we can't just bet them very frequently, because they're going to have a lot of hands that can continue, a lot of hands that can check raise, put us in difficult spots. So what that means is we have to have more of a polarized betting strategy. So we're going to use a bigger bet on the flop. And then we're also going to make sure that we check some hands as well. Just to round it out for this tip, then low unconnected boards as well. You can see a lot more big betting going on, less checking, but still not that much small betting. So it is, it's common on low connected boards and low unconnected boards to see lots of big betting and then some checking as well. And the final tip then, tip number 5, c-bet the best boards for your range very, very often. Now, when I put this graph together, I thought, wow, it just literally looks like I've taken some Skittles and like thrown it at the PowerPoint presentation. Hopefully you're not just getting like blinded by this, and hopefully we can make sense of what's going on. I'm just going to bring in my trusty laser pointer again. So for example, low connected boards, we already saw earlier on big bet and check. Well, this shows you, this is the betting frequency by texture and position, and the different colors then. So red is EP all the way through to purple, which is button. And this is, all in position versus the big blind. But you can just see, you can group them together now. So I'm grouped them by board texture and type. And you can see that, for example, trips boards, bet very, very frequently, and in any position. Now, just as a quick caveat, there are actually only 2 trips boards in the 184 flops that I ran. So there could be, I don't want to say like all trips boards, you just, always bet them, because that would be then, taking the data and misusing it, misapplying it. But so I just wanted to sort of have that as a quick aside, like just be aware of that. But then, there are a lot of paired boards, for example, in the subset. And you can see that we bet them fairly frequently, but there are a lot of boards where we do a lot more betting. So BBB, for example, think about like King, Queen, Jack. We're going to have a lot of strong hands on those boards. We're going to have straights, we're going to have sets, we're going to have 2-pair. It's very difficult for the out of position player to have a lot of those strong hands. So that means that we just get to bet very, very frequently. So this is, these are going to be boards that are good for us. Same with ABX and ABB. Again, like having those big cards, our opponent's going to have fewer 2-pair plus type hands, and we just get to hammer them. We just get to, bet a lot and, force them to fold some weak hands if we're bluffing, and also force them to continue with some hands when we have, a lot of strong hands in our range as well. 2 Broadway boards, again, like betting quite frequently, so at least 80%, but getting closer to 100 as well. Ace XX, the closer we get to the button, we're doing a lot more betting on these ace rag boards. Some of you might be looking at this and thinking, why is that? And that's a very good question. So you've got to think about, like, for example, let's think about like an ace 3 deuce board, right? In this situation, we don't open 3s and 2s from early position. We don't open 5-4 suited or 5-4 off. But our opponent is going to have 2s, they're going to have 3s, they're going to have 5-4 off, they're going to have 5-4 suited. So they're going to have a lot of those strong hands. So that's why we end up doing some more checking on ace XX boards when we're raising from early position against the big blind. But when we're in later position, sure, they're still going to have those hands. I mean, sometimes they might 3-bet jam versus the button with like 2s, 3s, something like that. But, we're then going to be opening 5-4 suited. We are also going to have 2s and 3s in our opening range. So we suddenly, don't have that kind of disproportionate effect going on. I think that's a word. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it makes sense. So yeah, this final tip is all about making sure that you understand which boards are good for you, and it all comes down to working out, okay, what does your range look like? What does your opponent's range look like? And then which of those ranges interacts best with the board. And so just with experience, and you can run these hands in in a solver, but you can also run them in something like Equilab, and you could literally just try different boards, try these different types like ABX, ABB, Ace XX, Jack or 10 high connected, and you can just run the equities and see what's what, and see what's going on, because very often high equity and lots of strong hands means that you should do lots of betting, right? So that's just really what we're seeing here. So I definitely recommend doing that. And yeah, we can just get a really good feel, I think, from this graph as to which boards are going to be good for us to bet. So for example, 2 Broadway is pretty good, ABB, BBB, ABX as well, betting very frequently, and Ace XX, anything more than 80% is very, very, very frequent. And then probably like low connected and low unconnected, betting a lot less, maybe monotone as well. But yeah, low connected really stands out as being like the opposite of this tip, which is, bet the boards that are best for you very, very frequently. All right, so I'm going to wrap the video up there. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love it if you could comment down below and let me know what you think about this style of video. If it's something that you really enjoy, I can definitely do one for different parts of the game. So for example, like turn, or for ICM, or for short stack strategy, or for playing out of position. So like out of position c-betting as well, or we could do like big blind defense, whatever you guys want, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to make some videos, but obviously let me know whether this kind of content is what you really like to see, because yeah, if you don't, I don't want to make another video like this, but hopefully you enjoyed it and it is something you want to see again. So let me know in the comments, and yeah, until next time guys, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.